All right, welcome back to the Mediaverse Studios podcast. I'm Jake, and tonight we have Connor Botts.
Hello.
Connor is a absolute madman, and we're really excited to have him on the podcast tonight to talk about all of his creative journeys and what he's currently working on and what we can expect to see from him. So, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here, man. Thank you.
All right, I mean, let's start off with just like where you're from and what you do, man.
Well, I'm from good old here, Iowa. Born and raised here in Des Moines. I am a cinematographer / I would say a VFX artist. I do some VFX work.
And do you do that commercially, or are you doing mostly narrative films, or what do you work on?
So I do work for a marketing company, Farm Boy. We do a lot of commercial work and whatnot. I like doing commercial work, but I feel like I strive better in narrative work, actual storytelling. That's just what I've always grown up on and love doing more. I love doing commercial work. Really, I do. But there's just something about story-driven visuals and storytelling that I'm just drawn to.
Yep. Do you find a way to inject story into some of these commercial works that you do?
As much as I can, I try to. Yes, absolutely. I find that stories within commercials, Apple, if you watch a lot of Apple commercials, they do a really good job, or like Nike, where they make you feel the story of the person you're watching the commercial about. Those are what I absolutely love, is when you can feel connected to a commercial rather than, hey, look at this brand new ShamWow towel that you can have in your house. I'd rather feel, I really need this product,
Yeah. So what would you say, like, what's the role that you take on the most? Let's say specifically for like a narrative film. What role do you gravitate towards?
I would say cinematography or a cinematographer. But I will say that I have been told recently, and I think I'm starting to realize it, I do have a heavy producer mindset too. Yeah. I'm very big on planning and organization when it comes to film. So I definitely see that I've never really thought about it before until later this year, but I do have some producing aspects, or at least organizational, being able to plan things like AC work and AD.
I would absolutely agree with you on that one. How did you get started in all of this? Like, where did your creative journey kind of start?
It's actually a really hilarious story. So I was originally, as a kid, I wanted to be an architect. I think I said that correctly. I'm terrible with words. And I was very hard set on that. I actually used to, with toys, build entire diorama sets and whatnot. So I was always thinking that was going to be it, until one day I wanted to watch Star Wars for the first time. Never knew what it was, never knew anything. My dad just handed me the DVD. And I put in the special features disc thinking that was the movie. And I was really confused, but I was also intrigued of what I was seeing, because it almost, as a kid, it felt like I was just watching an epic trailer for something that's going to happen. And I watched the entire thing and went to my dad. I was like, is this the movie? And he's like, no. Puts in the real movie. And my mind was just blown. I blew away immediately. And this is Empire Strikes Back for the people watching. So Wait, it was the bit. Yeah, that was where it started. Yeah, no, I started on Empire because, again, his explanation of why to start an Empire was it's the coolest one.
I mean, that's fair,
right? And remember, episode 3 wasn't out yet, so we only had 4, 5, and 6 to pick from. So he's like, we're gonna pick that one. Now, granted, I would say Return of the Jedi is probably a little bit cooler, but let's all agree Hoth scene is pretty cool.
I mean, Empire is the best. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I saw that, and I blew my mind, and I right then and there gave up architecture and was like, nope, I want to do film.
How old were you?
8.
Holy crap.
8 years old. And literally from that moment, basically every day till 19, I took a very unhealthy obsession with film. I would call it that.
All right, what does that look like?
Basically spending 12 to 14 hours every single day. That didn't matter if I was in school or not. I would, get my homework done super quick and immediately go to that. And I say it's unhealthy, and I'm not saying that learning is unhealthy, but I'm saying what I did was unhealthy, which is I made that my entire focus in life. Sure. Like, even hanging out with people, if hanging out with them didn't involve learning some aspect of film, I wasn't about it.
Wow.
And I had to have a reality check later in life that, like, hey, actually enjoy your life. Not everything has to be about film. You can actually have some fun in life. Right. But I will say that I am proud of myself for doing that at such a young age, because I almost, as a young age, like, pushed into myself that like, hey, filmmaking is going to be very hard. You're probably not going to have much social time. You need to accept this and realize this is what it is to create something out of nothing, to create a visual story or image that is compelling. It takes work.
It's an impossible task.
Yeah. So as a young kid, I kind of drove that into my mind that like, this is going to be hard, but just deal with it.
Like, what would you do? Let's say you finish your homework, you're ready to start your filmmaking day. Like, what does that even look like for a 10-year-old?
Well, I'll tell one instance in particular. I'm really good visually effects wise on muzzle flashes. I spent 3.5 weeks straight perfecting my muzzle flashes because I tried it one time just for shits and giggles and I didn't have it perfect. Right. And it's almost like someone with OCD. It wasn't good enough for me. And I would stay up day and night just learning compositing. Because when you think of a muzzle flash, it's not just like a flash at the end of the gun. There's the flash, the environmental flash, the smoke out of the barrel, the smoke out of the shell ejector. Then you have to actually think about what kind of shell is actually being fired out of the gun, what kind of caliber, the force of the gun itself, the kickback. There's a lot of actual aspects that go into getting a muzzle flash and a gun looking real for film to where it's not just pow pow. Right. And as a kid, I had this perfectionist mindset because I was like, I want to be the next Deakins, so it's got to either be perfect or it's not. Right. So I remember 3 weeks straight, no sleep. Actually, pretty sure I got sick from not sleeping, continuously doing it. I think I actually skipped an entire test just so I could skip school, spend 20-something hours just learning and trying different things and basically using After Effects as a sandbox to perfect these muzzle flashes. Wow. Because I was just like, I want to do action films. This is probably something I'm going to need to learn. Do I fully need to learn for the rest of my life? No, because probably, later down they'll have VFX artists. But I figured as a kid, I might as well learn every aspect because it seemed like at the time, indie filmmakers always just had to do it all on their own. Sure. So as a kid, I was just like, okay, that's what I got to do.
Wow. Oh my God. So would you say that you gravitate more towards like action films for the most part?
Not even necessarily I gravitate towards action. When I grew up doing films, I did it with my friends and, I like drama, horror films, even comedies, but I could never get my friends to want to do comedy or dramatic films. They only wanted to do action. Sure. So I'd be like, okay, I hit up my local airsoft stores, bought vests, guns, and we'd do an action film. And that just happened over the years where I got good at that. Right. But I wouldn't say that I gravitate towards action films. I feel I gravitate heavy towards drama thrillers, I think. Oh. That's where I really like storytelling, to where the story isn't an easy story, but it's so grounded to life that no matter who you are or what situation it is somehow you're able to connect to the story, and maybe in the smallest way, but it's still some kind of connection.
I like that. What are some of the films that you kind of draw inspiration from? Just not just for drama thriller, but just for in general.
Well, I always like to look at something like my top 4 films. So my top number 1 is Children of Men. I have loved that film. In my opinion, it is a perfect post-apocalyptic story. The cinematography done in it was beyond outstanding, and the production alone, it was insane. It shouldn't have worked for what they did. Mm-hmm. There was scenes in that. There was a whole one take. It's either one take or just a sequence where they have a whole tank battle towards the end.
Is that the driving one?
Yeah, no, not the driving one. It's towards the end with the big gunfight.
Oh, yeah.
It took them, each time they retook that, 32 takes total, and each one took 14 hours to reset.
Holy crap.
So it was basically like a one take per day kind of thing.
Wow.
And that takes some dedication for a crew, because I know that crew had to either be annoyed at having to keep resetting it, but that's when you get that perfectionism, and then you look at it on screen, you're like, that makes sense, Yeah. Second film I'd have to say would be, it's a really tough one, because right now it's stuck between Blade Runner 2049, which is a visual masterpiece. There's not much I need to really say on that. If you haven't seen it, it's 2.5 hours of great concept art. Watch it.
That's true. I mean, that was Deakins, right?
Yep.
Yeah, cheeky Deakins, man.
But the creator recently, I have been really drawn to that film. And I think it's more, and I'm not going to ride the whole train because it was shot on FX3 and whatnot, which is still impressive and whatnot. It's more of how that production should have really not have worked. And Gareth basically told the production companies, oh no, I'm going to make it work. Just watch. And everyone was against him until he made it work. And then they're like, oh, okay, because he did everything backwards. The VFX were done backwards. Usually you meet with the VFX coordinator first, and you plan it out. He just shot it, kind of vaguely talked to the VFX guys at Weta, and we're like, hey, or not Weta, ILM. And we're like, hey, here's the shot, make it work. And the cool thing I like about Gareth is another reason why I like Gareth and directors like Neil Blomkamp is they will quote unquote hire a VFX company, but they are very picky on who works on the VFX, especially Neil Blomkamp. He doesn't hire VFX companies, he hires the individuals. Why? Because the individuals work better when they're not being hawk-eyed. It's pretty common sense.
And that's a common thing, especially in like most of the superhero movies we see, is the studio has a huge say in what these VFX people are producing, what they're kicking out, and they really hamstring their creativity.
Oh yeah, and well, it just shows with the creator. They had an $89 million budget, and the VFX looks insane. It's the closest realistic VFX I've seen since like Elysium, which sure, that movie didn't maybe do the greatest, but if you look at the visual effects, they are the closest to realist life. Why? Is because he keeps everything lighting wise, the story and everything grounded with the visual effects. It's all grounded, and it's meticulously planned. I'm not saying that Marvel movies aren't meticulously planned, but when an $89 million movie can look better than a $300 million movie, where's the money going? That's a really big question. Let's take a look at She-Hulk. $225 million, it looked like that.
I mean, I hear you.
So I truly believe that when you get a director that cares about what he wants to look like, and he's not just hiring a company and hoping that they'll do it. He's like, no, I've seen this guy, you do great at this work, I want you on this project. I think it just makes it more collaborative, and like you said, it's not prying eyes watching over it, and the VFX artists can do their actual job and their work and not feel like they're being rushed.
And I'm sure people watching and probably seen all of the interviews with Gareth Edwards, as you and I have, but like, he really brought in this indie mindset into a big production.
Oh yeah, because he wanted to prove to people that and one of the big things Gareth said is a lot of the times what they brought down with the production costs is when you're doing those big time movies, you could have 20-something people standing on set that really aren't doing anything, because they have to wait for something, or they're like an extra. That's why he was like, I'm going to just take a crew of 10, hop in a goddamn truck, and we're just going to drive around and get it. And again, shouldn't have worked. Shouldn't have. But Gareth was like, try me. Like, he brought guerrilla filmmaking, which we're all used to here, to Hollywood. Exactly. And I look at the film as a creator, not only as it's a great story. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend going watching it. It's very Apocalypse Now kind of vibes with a nice, subtle sci-fi vibe kind of attached to it. But I almost look at it as Gareth Edwards made this film as a testament after Rogue One. I feel when he talked a lot about Rogue One without really saying it in words, he was kind of describing how, Disney helped with it, but there were a lot of setbacks because there were a lot of people it had to go through, which I feel like is like code for like producers throwing around bullshit, which we knew happened in the Rogue One production. There was supposed to be an entirely different ending with everybody living, because Gareth originally didn't think that Disney would let him kill everybody off because it's Disney.
Right.
And so things like that, I think this was a way for Gareth to say, hey, I can do this movie for half of what I did Rogue One for and make it look just as good without half the bullshit.
Yep. I like that's kind of a trend coming out, is these filmmakers that are kind of sticking it to Disney because they got to, like, you have Zack Snyder doing Rebel Moon.
Yep.
Which was a Star Wars treatment, but he's like, screw Disney.
Yep.
So he's just making his own thing. And Edwards did the same thing with Creator.
Exactly. And it really worries me, especially with like companies like Disney, because it makes me think that these artists will come in with these great, unique stories. And then as soon as the big producers touch it, it gets watered down to Dookie.
Yeah.
That's then, we get really, that's how we got, Mobius and Dookie.
Mobius.
You know the vampire film?
Morbius.
Oh, Morbius. I'm sorry.
Because Mobius is Loki, which
Yes,
is like,
that's right. I
Loki.
got that wrong. I got that wrong. You're right. No, Loki's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all know. And no hate against Jared Leto. I think he can act when he is pushed. When he's not, it's just watching Jared Leto. I feel the same way about Shia LaBeouf. I think Shia LaBeouf can be a great actor when he is pushed. When he is not pushed, you get bullshit like Transformers.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, because if you see, there's a movie he's in called Charlie Countryman that's extremely good. It's unlike anything that I see Shia do. Mm-hmm. And it's because he was pushed and it was something that he wanted to do. But then you look at like Transformers and you're like, what was the disconnect?
It's the story. I think that, anyone is drawn to a certain type of story, and you have to click with your story in order for you to give your passion to it.
Exactly.
I think that you do a good job of bringing out good performances in your actors when you direct, like we did Star Wars. And
which honestly, if anyone has seen the trailer, I just want everyone to know that film should not have worked. To give a little insight to everybody, we had a lot of scheduling conflicts, and the day before we had a major actor drop out, like major enough to where it could have halted the entire production. And this man right here saved the production. And somehow something that was 3D printed for a whole different body fit him, and it worked. So you're welcome.
I think I was the only guy that it could have possibly have fitted.
I know. It was,
besides you, maybe.
And also just let people know too, when I'm saying the day before, I'm not talking like we got let know like early in the morning that it wasn't going to happen. It was like 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So half of the day already went by, and he's just like, oh yeah, I can't make it.
Not many people know this story, but yeah, you called me like panicking, and like we didn't know each other very well at that point.
Hey,
you were in a state, man. But yeah, you were like, I don't know what to do here. You told me what was going on, and you're the only guy that the armor could possibly fit. Like, can you do it? And I had never acted. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
And we had you cast in the film as someone else already, but it was like you were a good guy, not a bad guy. So it was like completely switching out your entire persona.
Right. But we had done some choreography, which was nice.
Yes. That's probably the only saving grace.
Right. Yeah, we got on set, and like you brought out something in me, at least, that I was able to access that villain.
And it worked.
And it was fine. Yeah, I wouldn't say it worked, but it was fine.
I think, I don't know, if the people that see the trailer, you tell me, did it work?
Did it work?
Yeah. I mean, I think what we did for what we had, we did an outstanding job. Everyone on the cast and crew are, I don't want to cuss too much, but absolutely fantastic. Can't thank them enough. Like, I ain't shit without them, so can't do without you guys.
You had an outstanding crew and really cast. Did. Like, your people really brought it. Yeah.
Can't thank you enough.
Yep. We've got Jared Keller sitting over here right now off camera, but he's right here. And man, he was absolutely essential to not just Star Wars, but the next production that we're doing, which we should talk about.
Oh gosh, yes.
So we are currently, we just dropped an Indiegogo campaign for crowdfunding for Operation Crimson Night, which is going to be directed by the two of us. It was written by the two of us, and it's going to be executive produced by Jared back there. Tell me about this film.
Oh gosh. I mean, how much info should we give out?
I mean, the Indiegogo is open, so by the time this drops, so what?
Fair point. So
what can they expect to see?
So Operation Crimson Night, we wanted to make a action. Well, we wanted to make a horror film based around something called the SCP universe, which is like a creepypasta kind of group written secret government group that people have all kind of put together. So like creepypasta, it's a bunch of theories and stories that have come out, but this one is more based upon a secret world group that contains anomalies and creatures. So like anything that you could think of creature wise, werewolves, the Loch Ness monster, whatnot, probably real, and that they basically have covered it up and whatnot. And we've always wanted, I've loved this universe since it came out, and I always liked the idea of this kind of cosmic horror of military going into something that they have no idea what they're going into. Right. I mean, like it's completely FUBAR essentially, and all they have, we're human. What can we really do against something that we don't know of?
That's probably the most hilarious thing about this SCP universe is that there is a military task force assigned to containing or eliminating these threats, but they are wholly unequipped to handle some of these things.
Oh yeah,
like they're
cannon fodder almost.
right.
I mean, literally, in all reality, they're cannon fodder. But we've loved this concept, and a big thing with me with horror films, when you cross the, especially with like a horror film with lots of guns, I like to use the guns as examples with horror films, is you run into, I call it the 2018 Predator problem. And I won't go into a whole rant about that, but if you've seen that movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you writers should be disappointed in yourself. And the problem I find is, if you look at, I'll use the first Predator movie as an example, it is a great aspect of horror. Yes, there are action elements into it, but by the end of the film, we have fully turned to the horror aspect.
Yeah.
Now, the 2018 Predator film was trying so hard to do that, and I won't even go into the bullcrap about Shane Black and how he screwed that up, which I don't understand how he did because he was in the first one. But my problem was the moment you go too much action out of horror, you'll never get that horror aspect back. You've lost the horror. It's not a horror movie. It's an action movie. Mm-hmm. And so with this film, yes, we have military members, but I want it to seem like whatever they are going into, they basically know that there is a pretty good chance they're going to get killed. Yep. This is going to be the end for them. And so my big thing with this is I want to keep that heavy horror aspect and this cosmic element that we do have these fully kitted out military soldiers that, I mean, they look like tough hombres.
Yeah. And they are highly trained.
They're highly trained.
They're just not at all equipped because they're still human, right?
Yeah.
For this
situation,
superpowered entity that they're
they're going into fight. And what's so crazy about this film is I've wanted to do something like this for a long time, but it's really been out of the means between the amount of props. For a lot of people don't realize, to fully kit out one physical soldier prop wise, it's around like $500 to $600 if you want to get it pretty accurate. And it's taken me personally 20 something years, plus the great help of our man Jared Keller over here, and I believe a few other people that have donated vests over my lifetime for us to get most of these props. So me and Jacob basically looked at each other. We have 80% of everything we need to make a horror military based short film look like $1 million production. Yeah. Without spending $1 million, just because we've accumulated so much of the things and necessary things that we need over 20 something years.
We've got the equipment, like the props, and we have the costumes, we have the locations now because we're here at the studio, and that's going to make this thing very accessible to us. And we have all of this gear, lighting, and cameras and things that. And
not only that, but one thing I want to make very clear: we have a outstanding cast and crew, and outstanding. Like,
we just finished.
I may have helped write and I'm helping direct, but really it's you guys. You guys are what are making this happen and work.
We have probably one of the most stacked teams I've ever experienced in Iowa.
It's truly crazy what we've done. The only thing I've seen close to scale of what we've done was recently. I can't remember the direct, Knee High. Marissa Vaughn. Shout out to her and shout out to Bruce Bales, because you guys did such a fantastic job and y'all deserve 10 times more recognition for that film.
Yep.
I can go on a whole rant on how you guys should be getting way more recognition, but I won't go into that.
This man has rants if you can't tell, and we need to rein him in sometimes.
But it's just I love the fact that we were able to bring a crew like this together, because I never thought it would have been possible. And now we're doing this insane cosmic horror at a scale that we shouldn't be able to do this at. And we are. And it's like, oh, all right, well, let's rock and roll then.
Yeah, it's very ambitious. Total cast is around 40.
Yeah, around 40 people. We actually are building an entire 20-foot Osprey helicopter interior set for this.
Yep.
That still blows my mind. We've got everything from custom helmet props. We've got amazing 3D design props built by our amazing man Jared Keller over here. We've got a whole anamorphic set that we're using for the film. We're shooting on the FX3s. We've got, I mean, it's weird how everything is lined up in our laps, and especially with indie filmmaking blowing up so big right now because of the strikes and these bigger film companies not showing the love that they should to filmmakers. It almost felt like this just had to happen. This was the right time.
So let's talk about the crowdfunding, because we're not here on this podcast trying to promote it, but I do want to talk about crowdfunding as a as a source of getting your movie made? Like,
Yes.
how do you feel?
Well, and not just for our movie, but just for people in general.
Right, because you do see a lot of them. You know, you see a lot of Indiegogo and Kickstarter campaigns for films, not just in Iowa, but everywhere.
Yeah.
So how do you, I guess, just feel about crowdfunding as a source for getting your movie made?
I think especially with the times that we're in right now, it's something that we should be looking a lot more into just for us as indie filmmakers and creators. There are people out there that want movies to be made. There are people out there that want to invest in the arts because just like us, you know, they're seeing, you know, we don't want to always see Marvel movies every 3 months. I don't need to see a superhero movie every 3 months. Maybe I want to watch a movie about a lady who is trying to find her stolen car and it goes off in this whole insane story, you know, or, you know, you got to film like Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I don't even know how to describe that masterpiece alone.
Yeah.
But you got unique stories like that people want to see. And they're tired of seeing the same old garbage.
Yeah.
And so absolutely, if you want your film, do a Kickstarter, do an Indiegogo, do your film, even if if you don't reach your goal, do it anyways. We as creatives have got to keep going. We cannot just let studios that tell us no stop us. I mean, if we would have done that, there would have been a Stranger Things. Every studio said no to them except Netflix because they thought it was stupid. And then every studio now hates the decision they made for letting Stranger Things go. Right. So it's like, they really don't know what they want. Us as the people who watch, you know, we indulge the content and we create it. We know what we or people want because we're literally the ones that are doing it.
Well, I think the problem with studios, like the big studios, let's say, is that they are so business focused. It's a very capitalist thing.
I got to make those board members happy.
Exactly. They're trying to serve a board through a creative medium, and the two just simply cannot coexist.
Well, another thing I've found recently that I think studios need to also take advantage of is they see a movie, you know, they take a movie that probably didn't do so well at the box office right off the bat, right? And they immediately going to write it off as a failure. And then over the years, the film gains justice. It becomes kind of like a cult classic.
Evil Dead, Brain.
Yes, things like that. Okay, that's a great example. So when it's these studios want to write these off as complete failures, and then later down the line, they start, you know, people start loving them for what they are. You know, they let the film marinate a little bit, and then these studios want to be like, oh yeah, well, we knew it was going to do that. They want to take that big credit for it. It's
and
like
they reboot it, and then they make a series, and then they make a sequel, and it's like, man,
y'all, we almost got a Back to the Future reboot. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Shia LaBeouf. Why?
They did what?
There was a leaked script that came out. I think it was a while ago that someone leaked a possible script that was being pitched where it was a Back to the Future remake with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Shia LaBeouf, to where Dwayne was a rich millionaire who bought the car from the film, not knowing that it was an actual real time traveling car. Shia LaBeouf is just a young car thief who comes to steal it. They both time travel to World War II, to where they have to find uranium near Nazi camps to start it back up.
That sounds terrible.
It's absolutely terrible. I mean, you guys got to remember, they tried to reboot Jaws, and AKA it's called The Shallows now. That's why it's called The Shallows, is because someone finally stood up and said, no, we're not gonna let you reboot Jaws. And I'm just tired of that. They've got to this side where they're just like, oh, we're just gonna reboot things now because we don't want to. They're too afraid to try new ideas because they're so worried that it's going to be a box office disaster. But honestly, I don't even. I want to say that's why studios do it, but I don't even know that, because after the whole Warner Brothers, you know, Wile E. Coyote thing, what is it really? I feel like it's money and bonuses now. Like I don't feel like they care about the product. They just, like you said, want to keep the board happy.
Right, because they have to keep not just making profit, but increasing profit steadily over time. And if that ever dips, they start to lose their minds. And they start cutting benefits and pay for the lower level people, and then they all go on strike, and then they lose a lot more money. And so now it's just going to be, I think in the near future, we're going to see even more of these reboots and sequels coming out, because that's their formula, because that's all they know that they can potentially make money off of. Even
though they have a company called A24 that they could literally just watch, that rarely ever misses. But why do we want to take a successful company and follow their method? Crazy idea, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, crowdfunding I think is a very viable source of raising your money.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that people are starting to go indie again, which is nice. It's good to see that coming back.
We got to bring the indie back to everybody. We have to. This Indiegogo campaign allows us to take it to that one little extra step to allocate some extra funds towards visual effects, food, cast and crew, some extra little lighting rentals, and I call the accidental fund, where it's like, we have to go buy a charger real quick or go buy batteries because something, forgot, that little extra amount. Either way, whether the Indiegogo launches or we successfully fund it or not, the film is still happening either way. Like I said, we have already got so much of the stuff to truly give us a short film that was made in Iowa for, technically what should under cost less than $10K look like $1 million production.
Right. And I was going to ask that, like, with the the scale of this project and the level of quality we're putting into it, what would you extrapolate this out to be? If this was made in Hollywood, what would it cost?
I would probably say like $1 to $4 million. And I only say that because, like I said, we've accumulated so much props and gear I have a lot of over 20 years, of just equipment, props, gear. I mean, we have a whole 30, 40 gun props out there with helmets and gear. Right over there, we have 9 or 10 helmets with full night vision goggle kits set up, ready to go and whatnot. It's taken a while. That's one of the only reasons this is happening is that we've have everything in place to where we're not having to drop $10K just for pants, because I'm also a big person on getting accurate clothing and whatnot, right? So I want to make sure we have the right things on our military people. So I make it very accurate. Because there's too many times I've seen in movies where, someone's holding a gun and the sight's backwards throughout the entire film. And no offense to filmmakers like that, but I know you were 10 years old. I know you played Call of Duty. That's wrong. Don't lie.
Well, and it's those details, which you're very good at. You're very good at all these little details.
Because like I said, when I was a kid, I taught myself that if you don't do the details, you're a failure.
Ooh.
That's how hard I was. I was terrible if I could go back in time, I'd beat the shit up out of myself.
No, you gotta be nice to little Connor.
No. I'd beat the shit up out of little Connor and be like, yo, you need to take a chill pill. Okay? Not everything has to be about film. I tell you, there was one time when, and I'll tell you this is how bad I was driven in film. 9th grade year, I had a girl ask me to a date, and I told her, I could only do the date for 30 minutes because I had film stuff going on, and she got upset with me, and I literally told her, if you're not about film, I don't need you in my way.
Oh my God.
I was literally, I had a huge ego death in high school where I literally sat myself down and said, you need to stop. You're not a hot shit. You need to sit the fuck down. You ain't shit. You need to chill. Not everything has to be about film. You need to do gradual learning, and you will get there. You do not have to learn everything like it's life or death.
Right.
And I literally had to heavily have a heavy ego death to have this conversation, because I was very if you're not about film, if you are not in the film circle, cool, you're a nice person, but I don't really need to talk to you. And it's just that. Like I said, if I could go back in time, I'd beat the shit up out of myself because it was so disgusting. And I just had to learn that there had to be a balance. And the problem was, as a kid, I taught myself that filmmaking is so hard. You don't get to have that balance.
Right. You have to have all the gas on.
Yes. So please, young filmmakers out there, learn, but don't learn how I did. Because you'll look back on life and you'll go, dang, I wish I would have gone to that bowling fun event with friends or that date.
Right. Yeah, I think that I like the term ego death, because that's something that I've been through. I think a lot of filmmakers have been through, where you get to a point where you kind of have to break.
Oh yeah, because I was 16-year-old. I was so good at After Effects at 16. I thought I was the hot turd in the city. I mean, I really did. I was a cocky little shit,
right?
And I needed to step back and really look at, because even now, I'm okay, but I ain't shit. There are amazing filmmakers out here. First off, big shout out to Bruce Bales. I absolutely love your work, man. I would love to be a PA for you one day. Or Andrew Peterson, another great filmmaker out there. God, there's so many I can't even name right now. They're just shooting through my head at 1,000,000,000 miles an hour. And, I had to have that ego death as a kid. I think a lot of us as young filmmakers, we'll latch onto something we're really good at and think that, because we're young, we're no one's as good, or whatnot. And, having that big, I call it the goldfish moment. You raise a goldfish in a small bowl, it'll always live in a small bowl. You put them in a big bowl, they'll start growing bigger and see everything in a bigger perspective. And that's what I needed to do, was basically take my mind out of this small, tiny mindset and look at the big picture of, oh, I'm okay. I need a lot more learning. I need to really take this down a notch, refocus how I want to learn in a safe way, in a healthy way, to where, I can actually have a normal conversation with someone and it's not about filmmaking.
And I will say that, having known you for the short amount that I have known you, you are a very humble filmmaker now, and you do definitely seem more balanced.
I like I said, when I had the kind of ego death where if you probably would have watched it from a third party perspective, you would have probably been like, is this kid okay? Like, is he going through a midlife crisis? Because I kind of was. I was just like, what am I doing with myself, thinking that I can just, I put myself at a high enough pedestal where I was like, if my film doesn't look somewhat like a Deacon's, then I'm doing something wrong and I'm a failure. Like, it was that kind of serious kind of tone that I put to myself that was just, I couldn't do. And it was not healthy.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you have coming up next?
Well, as we've talked about, me and Jacob have Operation Crimson Night coming, which is, I really can't wait to just show everyone with the production. Please check out the Indiegogo. Even if you can't even donate, we have backer rewards, but you can also donate less than the backer rewards. And even if you have $1 to donate, please help. And even if you can't even donate $1, just share the product around just to support indie filmmaking. We have our Star Wars short film, which should be dropping sometime here shortly. I'm not going to give a date yet because with our music composer guy, I want him to take our time. I'm not going to rush that man. I would like him to take his time because music is so key in film that I'm not going to rush him on that. And then thanks to you, a lot of people know that last year I had a production called I Am Human that, without going into too much details, I sadly solely funded $15,000 of, and it almost went basically down the drain because of scheduling conflicts with a actor who basically moved states entirely, and we still had 3 scenes to film. And so I was originally going to write it off as, well, I'm going to take it as a $15,000 learning experience. And this man over here was like, no, you're not. Let's sit down. And we kind of went through it, and we found a way to make it work again. So I Am Human should hopefully be dropping. My hope would be early spring, maybe early summer. I would like to more shoot for the spring, but again, I don't like to rush the edit process.
Yep.
So it takes what it takes, but it's definitely going to be dropped this year.
Good. It's nice to hear that you are doing that.
I guess 2024.
I'll put a link to it in the description. Yes,
because there's a trailer. We do have a trailer for I Am Human.
Because I didn't know much about the project because I wasn't on it, but you showed me the trailer and I'm like, you have to release this. Like, there's no question of taking this $15,000 dirt nap or whatever.
Which again, that's another one of those things that it shouldn't have been $15,000. It was only supposed to be $1,000. Then it jumped up to $4,000, and then 3 weeks before, I partially 70% of me messed up to where I was having to pay for next day shipping for a lot of things, which then jumped it to $15,000 very fast.
You have a way of expanding scale very quickly of a project.
Yeah, my internal body cries every time.
But the audience will love it.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm very glad to hear I Am Human is coming out. Star Wars, it's on my Christmas list. I wanted to see it for Christmas, but that's okay.
I mean, who knows, man? Who knows? Maybe Santa will bring it to you for Christmas this year. I mean, maybe the composer guy will just hit me up and surprise me, and
never know.
Yeah.
And then Crimson Night. We're still in pre-production right now, but we'll be getting into production late April and pretty much all of May 24.
Yep. And we're excited to show you guys. And again, I just want to make it known, I cannot thank this man, the entire cast, the crew, every little spectacle for Operation Crimson Night. It literally could not be even possible, even conceptualized without any of you guys. Like, even if a single person that we have on the team right now wasn't in the team, then it wouldn't happen. Like, everybody that we have in the team right now is the only reason why this is happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not to say that we're not flexible and resourceful, but yes, we rely on this cast and crew entirely.
Because it's so good, and it's like, I hate saying the word fate, but it just seemed like the dominoes lined up.
Yeah, it kind of did. Yeah. And that's, yeah, I would say that. Got anything else you want to tell the world?
Love yourself. Please keep creating. Don't stop. Always keep learning. Also be healthy in life. Learn at a very healthy pace, please. And yeah, you guys just keep kicking ass out there.
Yeah. All right, Connor, you're a wild man. You're freaking nuts. But I love you. And
love you too, bro.
We can't wait to see what all this turns into, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's going to do it for us tonight. And thank you for being here.
No problem.
And we'll see y'all later.
All right. See you guys.